Hey, Mary, back with another video. It is 5:56 p.m. It is Thursday, getting close to the evening, and I wanted to come on here and make a video. I had to pause my first video. I made an attempt to make this video before, but my son had come in and interrupted me, and I kind of knew that was going to happen, So now he left, and so I'm going to make this video. So anyway, I just want to give you a quick update on what I've been doing. I've been coming in every few weeks and just kind of letting people know how I'm doing mentally and so on. And I think that's the most important thing because, it was very traumatizing for me, which I've used this word so many times that I'm sick and tired of using it. But how else could I describe it? What was going on around this community, and then dealing with the gang stalking and all of that. And so, and thinking about the hypocrisy of it all, and then just everything, okay, because we talked about it before. And so, every day is a new thing for me. There's a part of me that I still feel like I'm in this surreal world, like something like this actually happened to me. Like I was a victim of a long period hate crime, basically. And so when you come to the realization of that and how long it lasted and what was involved and the people who got involved in it, I will tell you, it will throw you for a loop. So it is not an easy thing to go through, especially when we talk about people who experience post-traumatic stress disorder over this. These are issues that affect people for the long term. Like I said, there's people who don't even go back to work. I know they have their little blacklisting game that they love to play, right? But some people who are capable, sorry, my chair, it flew back from me. This chair is on hard floor, so it kind of moves as it freely, however it wants to. But there are some people who never go back to work. That was kind of funny. Some people never go back to work because they're so mentally affected. They're no longer feeling comfortable around people because of the constant gossip and being, what do you call it? It's basically a spectacle everywhere they go because of the immaturity of their perps. It causes a lot of, anxiety for some people because not everybody's people are not comfortable. At least I'm not, okay? And obviously the people who go out long term with post-traumatic stress disorder or whatever are not used to being the center of attention, and the kind of attention that you get from your perps are basically, it's negative attention, okay? Because they hate you anyway. That's why they're somehow managed to get behind all of this and operate things behind the scenes, I'm sorry. But it's devastating, okay, knowing that, because seriously, I literally moved here back in 2000, and I never really contacted most of the people who got involved in this, and I just feel like it was such a shock to me, the meaning behind it, which is really deep. The persecution of my religious views or my lack of religious views or whatever. The fact that they're basically trying to pick apart who I am as a person. So they're basically saying, we hate you, change so I can be more like them so they can accept me. Like I even want them I don't want anybody accepting me who is that strange. Okay, I would never want to be associated with people like that. And so, and regardless of who it is, okay, I don't care if it's my blood relations or whatever. No one should ever be disrespected like that, okay? And then somebody who thinks that they have the right to put you on basically puppet strings to where you're gonna do your jobs, we're gonna do our jobs, and you're gonna marry who we want you to marry, and you're gonna dress how. That's insane. Okay, it's insane. And then, just all of it. Okay, just the whole thing. It can cause people to literally lose their mind. Okay, so, and then thinking about everything from your past that is now gone. Like everything that I knew, everyone I knew, I'm distanced from. Now, believe me, there is no emotional connection, especially from people, for people who, in my opinion, basically wanted me dead, right? So there's no emotional connection on my part. But still, it's like this was your reality. This was your daily life. This is what you thought was this way. And then you find out it's a completely different way. It's like there's so many things that constantly hit you. Like, this is it. Your husband, your ex-husband was trying to kill you, basically. And while he was trying to kill you, he was seeing this weird girl at work who was always causing problems. And the whole thing, all of it is like one situation after another. Coming to the realization that my blood relations were like the main people who were operating the strings behind this. I'm going to tell you, when you are a victim of human trafficking, gang stalking, whatever you want to call it, and you think about the people who are wearing this mask in front of your face, acting like they're your friend, they care about you. I mean, not that I ever really completely fell for it anyway, but I had no idea how evil these people really were, right? No idea whatsoever. When you come to the realization that your life is very much like the Truman Show, okay? Very much, orchestrated and everything. It is a mind fuck. Okay? It is. And it literally, it destroyed me. Almost destroyed me, okay? Because Maria's still here. Maria's strong enough to go back to work. Maria can deal with stuff, okay? But what these people did was they wiped out my life. You know what I mean? It's like I can never just feel like many years ago, if I moved into a neighborhood, you best believe by evening time I had people in my house and we were hanging out talking and stuff like that. That's the Maria that used to exist. It used to thrive. It used to socialize to a certain degree, right? Maria doesn't socialize anymore. And when Maria does socialize, I'm either taking care of business or it's that lighthearted stuff that is not going to cause any problems, any friction or anything like that. Talk about the weather or whatever. I mean, I try to keep it as light as I possibly can. Why? Because I don't trust people anymore. And it destroys your trust in people. Okay. And then it poisons the waters, because the people that you meet, you're always wondering, are they perps? Are they perps? Because, I would have, there's times where I've moved and like maybe I had like a apartment manager that I was talking to. They would come in or whatever. And they're like a part of the perp chain. You know what I mean? Or the people that my old bank were a part of the perp chain. It's like these people commit illegal crimes. Okay. Like there's certain forms of, what do you call it? Confidentiality. There's confidentiality, but I'm supposed to have confidentiality where I am, where I bank or whatever. And they thought that it's just the whole thing. Like I came to the realization. I mean, I understood that people got by in this world. Sometimes people, got by based on people that they knew or whatever. But when I came to the realization that there's a lot of people out there who, these so-called professionals, are not really professionals. You know what I mean? And I started realizing how corrupt the world is and how very much in need women are of protection, especially women like myself. I'm not talking about black women. I'm not talking about necessarily women who were scapegoated from their families, but single women in general. Okay, because what happened to me was a form of sexual harassment. That's shocking, is right there. Because, like, I don't really know very many people in Bakersfield where I live, okay? And the people that I do see, like at the grocery store, stuff, it's high and by. So I don't expect people to know my life so deeply. You know what I mean? And so when people are like constantly gossiping about you, I'm not comfortable with that. And people worrying about my so-called love life or my lack of love life or whatever. I don't even care about that stuff. And I'm not kidding you. I'm not. If I wanted a relationship, I would seriously go about finding one. But I would also be concerned about that person being a perp, okay? But my issues, I mean, really, I'm already 50 years old, okay? I don't need to be married. I understand people have their traditions, they have their beliefs, and they think that just because you take care of yourself and you dress well or whatever, that means that you try to stay nice looking, so that you stay nice looking for a person. Maria stays nice looking for herself. Maria loves clothes. Maria likes, making sure her lipstick matches her shirts if she can, okay? Maria loves those things. I have always loved those things. But that love of those things have nothing to do with men. You know what I mean? And this is the petty bullshit that comes in. Women can be, one moment please. I'm going to pause this. Okay, thank you for putting up with the pausing. But anyway, to make a long story short, I deal with a lot. Even though I'm functioning on a day-to-day basis, I'm dealing with a lot of resentment, anger, because when you realize that somebody thought that they had the right to make decisions for you, authorize you to do something, the dehumanization that these people put in place, how could you possibly like someone like that? You can't. And anything that, believe me, I love very few people, but when you realize that people actually thought that they could treat you that way, why in the world would you want to have anything to do with them? And so I'm just somebody who's trying to get by in this life. Like, really, I just want to have in my life just peace, and seriously, and I know that's kind of a silly thing to talk about, but I've never really raised a ruckus, and then I feel as though being a a black sheep of the family, like what do you call it, the scapegoat in the family, really sets things in motion, as far as how your life is going to turn out. Because when you're somebody who is like the scapegoat or whatever, the golden child, or the children who are not necessarily scapegoated, are continuously in competition with you. So they want to make sure that they're involved with your social surrounding. So, like, most people, they grow up and they kind of make their own decisions and stuff like that. They meet their own friends and whatever. And so they make sure that doesn't happen. If you do meet someone, they're going to meet that person and they're going to poison the waters. So then I don't like these people. Okay. These people have treated me harshly, irrationally. They were extremely abusive my entire life. You know what I mean? So why would anybody want to associate with abusive people? And then I'm going to turn around and associate with the same people who are best buddies with the same people who abuse me. So they could never be somebody that I can tell a secret to, not that I have any, but I could tell a secret to or share anything with these people without that information going back to the perps, my main perps or whatever. So I have to be very careful. You know what I mean? And so, I think what the kind of relationships that I miss is that I miss relationships, friendships, with women. And they're rare anyway, because like women can be very catty and they can be very, competitive, and they're gossipy, and everyone's gossipy, but women tend to be a little bit more gossipy than others. So, I have to be very careful, and I think I was talking about single women and our need for protection before I paused it and took off. We do need protection. Women in general need protection, okay? One of the reasons why we are considered a protective class, not like, okay, certain groups of people are considered protective classes, okay, when it comes to like, human resources and these forms they talk about when they bring up discrimination, okay? And protected classes are people who have historically gone through some form of oppression that it made a lasting impact on the laws here in the United States, okay? So obviously we know people of color have gone through hell in this country. We know that women have struggled in this country. We know that people who are a certain age struggle in this country. So I pretty much fall under a lot of fucking categories, okay? Just being me. I exist. I'm like the definition of a protective class. The protective class. If there's any manual, they should use my face as an example, because you can't get a better example than me, okay? And, unfortunately, a lot of the harassment that I experienced growing up in school and in my workplaces, okay, mainly, were from my meddling siblings who wanted to, kind of compete. Like, oh, does she know how to do this? Does she know how to do this? And so I resent it. I resent it because I think I resent more every day, because their childish games have put my life so far behind that I feel as though I would be far more ahead, and so they're going to bring up, oh, well, it's because you didn't have a bachelor's degree. And the funny part about this sort of abuse, okay, these are the same people who made it very difficult for me to finish high school. Okay, that's one of the reasons why, because I was always bullied in school, and now I realize who were the main people who were operating that, who were the main operators of that. So when I start thinking about all the abuse that I've received all these years, and the continuous like need to put me down, compete against me, slander me, and if I did do something wrong, it was always had to be known to everybody. So these people have always hated me. You know what I mean? And so they make sure that everyone else hates me. And it's just like, that's just how it is, you know? But I'm not going to stop being who I am. And I meant that. I meant that because I believe in who I am. And obviously these people believed in who I was even before I even believed in who I was. That's the reason why they hated me. They always knew, my blood relations knew somehow before I even realized that I was intellectually superior to them. And they fucking hated it. You know what I mean? And they hate me, and so I guess I accept that. I can move on with my life, okay? But, and I can move on with the other people who got involved. Like, I think people think that I'm brokenhearted over what happened with my ex-husband, okay? I will tell you, when I left my ex-husband, I never liked leaving my ex-husband, okay? But what I'm telling you is that I left him because I understood what he was. And what he was at that time, the reason why I understood that he was a possible suspect at that time, okay, which I know he had more involvement with it now than he did before. I knew that he was involved with my employment manipulation, okay? I know the reason why that was written into law is because it's a form of abuse, okay? And he would never admit it, but I knew that was what it was. So I don't forgive that, okay? And then I also knew that he had a sexual relationship with his mother. Now, some people are okay with that. I'm not, okay? So I kind of thought in little weird specks and stuff, like, I wonder if he's seeing that girl at work. I do recall that popping into my mind. I don't know what year it was. I think it might have been 2016. Maybe 2015, but I think it popped through my mind at least once, even when I really didn't think there was a possibility that could have happened. But I do remember thinking it, just like a brief moment, okay? But now I think that he possibly even married this girl, okay? But I have no confirmation of that for sure, but I do suspect it. And I do think that I know that him and his mom were like that, and I do know that he had more to do with it, because there were times he would slip up and say things, okay? So I left him for that reason, and I started to see him differently. So there is no me missing him or me pining away because my heart's broken because of this person. It's not. Okay. Now, I do think that he had a playful mood and stuff, because he was very convincing when it came to how he showed me attention. Like, the way he would talk to me and stuff like that. This is how good of a pathological liar this motherfucker is, okay? So I thought, at the time, I cared about my husband. I did. I loved him at the time. Okay, so don't think that I was, because I never asked the man for shit. Seriously, when I married him for love. That's what I married him for. Not for, because I thought he was I never knew he was behind my employment. And I would have told you right now, I would never marry a man who was going to do that to me. And I would strongly advise women to wake the fuck up and stand up for themselves, and do not let people do that to you. Because what will happen to you is they will abuse you, and they will financially abuse you. Okay? This is why it's written into law, because this happens to a lot of women. And so, anywho, I left for those reasons. So I don't, and if he is with this girl, that's all water under the bridge. I don't care. I do think that this girl felt like she was in competition with me. I think it was mainly created by possibly my family. Now, I have white people in my family who are racist, but they tend to be married to black people anyway. So I don't know. Who knows? My family's weird, okay? So I don't know. Maybe something put that in her head. Because biracial people do have a lot of conflict. They struggle with a lot of conflict, inner conflict, because they know that in their mind, white people have everything. They don't have everything. What they do have is they have power. They have social power. Okay, so in her mind, she's conflicted because she wants to be comfortable, right? So she feels like she needs to betray her race, or she has to compete against a black woman, or what. I don't want to play your game. Deal with your insecurities somewhere else. If you want to take people's husbands, you want to do that sort of, you go right ahead, okay? Stay the fuck out of my work. Don't touch my shit. I didn't ask you to come into my life or anything like that. So that's the kind of shit that I deal with. Like, who are these people? Why do they think that they have the right to play puppet games with my life? That plays through my mind all the time, okay? Because it's like, I don't even know this girl. I know she came from a small town. I don't know if she's living in her small town. I don't know if she's living here in town, or she go back to her place. Is she living in her town? Is she? I have no idea where she is. It never occurred to me to look her up, but she was obsessed with where I was going, what I was doing, blah 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 blah. This person was like crazy. So anyway, no, I don't forgive any of these people. I don't. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. I believe in separating yourself from things that are harmful to you. Okay? And those sort of relationships are extremely harmful to people. And I see a lot of people, they want to hang on to relationships just to say that they have them. You know what I mean? And this is why you get abused. And this is the reason why people think they can take advantage of you. You should never be, desperate to the point of where you're going to let somebody walk all over you. Don't do that. So, but I deal with that every day. That's something that goes through my mind on a daily basis. The thought that I am a victim of a hate crime. How do you pick up from a hate crime? And I would say this is the most evasive hate crime. And to me, it's a subtle hate crime, but I think it's the most harmful. Because this is the sort of stuff that leads to some people either going postal, or it's the sort of thing that leads to people to commit suicide. It is a devastating thing to be a victim of. Okay? I don't forgive these people. And I never will. And if they are trying to set an example of what it's supposed to be a good Christian, you have failed tremendously. I mean, no way, no thank you. Now, believe me, I want to tell you one thing. I have nothing against the Christian faith. I have nothing against Jesus Christ. If people live their lives according to their Bible, if you say you're going to adhere to a certain religious belief system, then I can only respect you if you live up to that. Okay? I don't respect people who use any sort of religious title or affiliation to try to push forth a political agenda or try to sway people. Don't bring God into your messed up problems, okay? To me, that's blasphemous, okay? And don't try to make this into a righteous issue or moral. Don't you dare make it into a moral issue, especially if this person, was like messing around. Don't do that, okay? I have never said that I have never done anything wrong in my life. I've done a shitload of things wrong in my life. I just dropped the F-bomb at least 2 times in this video. Okay, but it's my video. Okay, it is my video. But it's not proper language, okay? But still, I'm saying is I have my flaws. I'm not perfect by any means, okay? But I don't deserve this. I don't think anyone in this world deserves this. I think it's more humane had these people just shot me. Because it's really fucked up what these people have done. And I really think that if I was a lawmaker, which I stay out of those sort of things, but if I was, I would be very harsh, but I would be very just too. It's not like you could say, oh, she handled this unfairly. No, people would be paid back measure for the crimes that they commit. Okay? And because if these people to me belong in jail, period. You know what I mean? And I would prefer to see them hauled off to jail, or somebody tell me, announce it on the news that these people got blown away. Then I would be like, oh, okay, good. Because I'm seriously disturbed by someone who would do something like this. This includes my own mother. That's how I feel about this. It's devastating. Okay, so I do. I mean, and I function okay. I get up in the morning. I do the same routine. I'm glad that I have, an activity to do during the day. I like my job, I think I enjoy the atmosphere there. I'm happy there. Okay. But when I come home, it comes back to me like, okay, and then I have too much time on my hands. So believe me, I've been trying to pick up some of my old hobbies so that I can get my mind back, and focus and pick up where I left off. But it's not easy. It is not an easy thing to do because you deal with flashbacks, right? It happens. Hey, that when they talk about post-traumatic stress disorder, or like the same sort of effect that it is when a person goes to war. And I'll tell you why. Because when somebody blacklists you, guess what they told everyone to do? They told everyone in an illegal way, a very subtle way, to kill you, to throw you out in the street and to ignore you. That's what it is. Okay? So these people to me are fucking murderers, is what they are. Or attempted murderers. Okay? So when you deal with that, just like people who are at war, they're maybe they saw one of their friends catch a bullet for them, or maybe they might have, barely missed a bullet going to their heart or something. These people's, their lives were threatened. My life was threatened too. Okay? So it's not an easy process. And so when you hear these human resource professionals talking about, harassment issues, they can be sticky. The way they describe it, yes, it is sticky. Yes, it's ewy. It's not a good thing. But I cannot tell you how messed up it is when people don't follow the rules, and how obnoxious it is when I have these so-called educated people trying to teach me a thing or two. You see what I'm saying? Okay? Pisses me off. Because if these people were that educated, they wouldn't be doing the shit that they're doing. And I'm going to tell you right now, that lawyer that I mentioned a while ago, I can only assume, since he's supposed to be well educated with all his degrees and his shit like plastered all over the wall so he can use as some sort of social status symbol, okay, he's either fucking retarded or he's a goddamn criminal. One or the other. So when you start realizing that this is the kind of shit that goes on in this world, and you have to survive and you have to rely on the goodwill of other people when they've demonstrated that they are absolute garbage, you're going to wonder, you're going to stay up a little bit at night. I can assure you. Okay? Because some idiot had bloodlust and wanted you dead. So I don't see it any other way. So yeah, I go through it. Right? So, yeah, that I don't know if I'm ever going to be okay with that, because that's always going to be, I need to stay busy. So I did get a book from Amazon.com. I've heard of Manly P. Hall before. He is a philosopher. He was very much into, the paranormal beliefs, but he also had issues. How can I say this? He was a part of a lot of the secret societies. I even believe that he was a Freemason himself. I've heard Manly P. Hall's name being thrown around many years ago, like on different websites and stuff like that, but I never read his work myself, and I've always made a mental note to check out his work. So I did purchase this book. I got The Secret Destiny of America, which is, so far, it's pretty good, So I'm picking up my reading again, which is good, because I do love to read books, and I love reading. I'm a philosopher myself, and the reason why I'm a philosopher is because I have my own way of seeing how this life journey is supposed to be, and this my goal, my mission, my obligation to myself to live out my life. Okay, so it really pisses me off that these people want me to live like they do, because fuck you, I think you guys are pathetic. But anyway, I respect his writing, and I respect his point of view. I can't say that I agree with everything, okay? I do have my own way of seeing things, okay? And I do have my own way of life, and I even think that it's a moral issue with me, but I don't put this on everyone else. This is just what drives me, and it motivates me. This is my perspective of the world on certain issues, so this is for me. I'm extremely empowered by the way that I see things. And if that pisses people off, well, sorry, but I still have the right to do so, So I think with my case is, not only am I a example of what a protected class should look like, or would look like, okay, I also have my own personal ideas, but I don't share those ideas out in the open with other people, really. And I've always been very quiet. I talk about them on my channel because I had suspected that, I was persecuted for my beliefs. Not that I talk about my beliefs at work. It's because my ex-family and all this other stuff are involved with my work, and they tell people certain things and blah, 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 blah. I have the right to have my own religious views, or not to be a part of a religion. I don't believe that religion makes people moral, or I think in some cases it does help people, okay? But in this situation, with the people that I have met in my life, and because they were associated with the people that I used to know, and I'm going to tell you the truth, okay? I have never met a real Christian person. Like, I have never met somebody who really cared about how they served God. Like, they feared him to the point of where they would have never thought to have done anything stupid like these fake Christian people did. Okay? I see a lot of hypocrisy. Now, I have read the Bible a lot. I talked about that when I was younger. So, based on what I see and based on what the Bible says, okay, there's going to be a lot of people not making it into the pearly gates, okay, who are going to get this reward, because people are extremely selfish and motivated by everything other than serving God and having God's glory. That doesn't even really come into their mind, So I've never met somebody who cared about their fellow man sincerely, other than maybe it might get them some publicity, might make them look good. It's always seems like I've only known hypocrites, because I've only been around the same group of rehashed people over and over and over again. I personally think it's kind of weird, because when I think about how cruel these people are, these people, because, okay, I'm not bragging, but, because I'm a genius, I'm eccentric. So I did things differently. So my blood relations, right, assumed that something was not right with me. So instead of getting me the proper help that they thought that I needed, they're going to throw me out to the public to fucking ridicule me. Do you see how fucking evil how could I like people when I had to deal with this sort of stuff? It's hard. It's very hard. You know what I mean? So I go through it, basically. To get a long story short, I go through it, and it's really hard for me to get a grasp on it, because once I start talking about it, man, I just start rolling, because that's all my life has been dealt with for the last since I realized that I was a victim of gang stalking or whatever. So yeah, it's been a lot, and plus everyone that gets turned against you. Didn't take much to have these people turn against me. Okay, obviously they hated me because they saw me on Facebook. It must have been a really nice picture, and people thought, oh, Maria looks great, and they were probably jealous and blah 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 blah. Well, you know what? I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. I think we always put our best picture on Facebook. You know what I mean? That's too bad that you hate me, that you were so angry that you thought, because believe me, what people project on Facebook, and I wasn't even trying to pretend that I was living a good life. It was just a basic picture. But I'm just saying is what we see on Facebook is never really reality. Okay, so maybe they thought, oh, that's a great picture of Maria. She might be doing this, 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 and this. And whatever the case is, whether they just judged it based on how they thought my picture looked, or they thought that I had I was living this life of luxury or whatever, the very fact that they would come out after you and try to bully you and harass you is because they were trying to detach me from the life that they thought that I was living. So in other words, if that was indeed my life, I was kicking back on the weekends on somebody's yacht every weekend, and I was drinking margaritas and, or whatever luxury, martinis or whatever. And, I stayed at a timeshare on the weekend, or I was just globe trotting or whatever rich people do. If they thought that that's what I was doing, and they wanted to bully me out of what they thought that I had, that goes to show you they didn't give a shit about me. Okay. Obviously I never had any of that. Okay. But just the very fact that they wanted to never allow me to. Now, here's a person who was bullied out of high school. This is how much these people never wanted anything good for me. Okay. They bullied me out of high school, right? So, you try to pick yourself up and try to make something of yourself, right? Whatever you can do, okay? Even working in an office is nothing impressive, right? Not really. Okay, but you try to do the best you can, right? So they want to come back and bash bash you again, right? And so they want to say, oh, well, she doesn't have her bachelor's degree, blah, blah, blah. She's this. No, maybe I don't. But you know what? If somebody can understand accounting and they could pick up a skill and do well, and you compare them against people who do have a bachelor's degree and you can still do the same decent job, I would call that a success story. I wouldn't call me a failure. I'm not a fucking failure. Okay? You guys are supposed to be educated, and I expect better from people who are educated. A hell of a lot better. Not just in how you read and write, but I expect people to live pretty much eloquent lifestyles, Since you understand biology, since you understand like anatomy, since you studied all these subjects, you should know how to take care of your body, right? You should know how to take care of yourself. All these things. If you study psychology, I expect you not to lash out and mistreat people in public form, because you know what that does to people psychologically. See, your fucking degree is just a worthless piece of paper, and you really should wipe your ass with it, in my personal opinion. And that's exactly how I feel. I don't have any feelings for these people. You know what I mean? And so, but I will say it's rough without having that love in your heart for something. It's very hard. I do love my son. I tell him every day, I love my son, love my son. He's my son, okay? I love my son. You got to care about somebody in this life. You know what I mean? And I care about very little people. He's the only person I care about in this world. I don't give a fuck about anyone else. And that's, and I do. I get along well with the people I work with and stuff like that. I don't really know them that well, okay? But it does affect you, but I think it does it for the better, for the best, because if we walked around thinking that we can trust people, that people, we can take people at face value and that they're going to, have our best interests at heart and they want to see us succeed. If we think this, I'm sorry, but we're fools if you think this. People have their what do you call it, agendas. They keep, their little plans and their plots and schemes to themselves. And sadly, I found out the hard way. And once you learn that lesson, you can never forget it. Can't forget that. So anyway, I wanted to give you a little quick update on what I've been doing. I hope all the TIs have had, a good 3-day weekend. It was quite relaxing. I will say it gets a little boring sometimes because, but luckily I did have my books. I'm getting more books. I'm going back to my reading. I have talked about and thought about moving my channel into another direction. I do so much love the paranormal. I do. I love everything paranormal related. I want to do some reviews on, just items that I bought. I did show you my glasses, but I think maybe I might do something more professional. Professional review would be kind of good. I know I ordered another pair of glasses online, and these are sunglasses that I ordered. So once I get those, I might go ahead and do a little review on that. I guess I could review this hairpiece that I got. Yes, I got a hairpiece. Fuck you if you don't like it. Yeah, I did get a hairpiece because I did buy a bun. And it does, kind of cover all the little pieces that are really choppy and not uniform. So it looks a lot nicer. And so I did get this ponytail for $7 online. Because I was tired of wearing the bun every single day. And, it's nice to have a little bit of variety, kind of switch it up every once in a while. If you hate me for it, whatever. If you think I'm trying to get a man, no, I'm not. But if I was trying to, I have every right to. Okay? Stay out of my business. I resent that somebody would try to manipulate me in that manner and tell me what I can and cannot do. Okay. So yeah, that's what I did. And then, so I wouldn't mind doing, reviews on that, but I am looking forward to doing the sunglass review because I do have a pair of sunglasses, but I rarely wear them. I wear them like if I go out early in the morning or something. But I decided to order these glasses because for some reason they were just speaking to me and they were rather inexpensive. Okay. So since I'm trying out all this and experimenting with ordering my glasses online, I thought I'd give it a try. So I will do a review for those. Any products that I do purchase, I've kind of slowed down my spending. I had to get some stuff for the house, okay? Because believe me, I've been out of work for over a year. I moved in with my son. And so we basically were living like, it wasn't good. Okay. So we needed to get a few things, okay, which is understandable. And I did some of my relief, what I call relief spending when I first started working, which is understandable. Don't tell me how to live, and do not tell me how to spend my money. Okay? This is what I hate about these goddamn people. I fucking hate these people. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this video up because you can tell right now that I'm like full of just like, I'm so angry at these people, you know. But it's good to get it out of me, and talk and express what I'm feeling, because it's not good to walk around with that. It isn't. It's bad. It's a bad thing, you know. But this is not something that I can just shrug off, because it affected my life. It affected every aspect of your life, which is what gang stalking does. You know what I mean? And which is one of the reasons why I talk about it. I do talk about human trafficking. I did. I'm trying to get away from that subject. I'm more talking about my personal experience, how I dealt with it. But I did do some educational videos, and I really wish that those videos, they got some pretty good views, okay? But I wish that they would have gotten more views. I wish people would take this more seriously. That is my biggest wish. And I know it's hard to try to wish for any sort of peace or any sort of cooperation in a world that is absolutely chaotic and extremely egocentric. You know what I mean? But, you know, all I can do is, if you can't follow the rules, which I know there's a lot of corrupt pieces of shit out there, you know, then try to protect yourself. You know what I mean? For those people out there, you know, try to protect yourself as much as you possibly can. Just be aware that this could easily happen to you. It could easily happen to you. And don't think that, you know, when you get a brand new car or you start buying new things for yourself, don't think that there's not a neighbor who might be looking at you, and not just looking at you, but they're going home and not, you know, sleeping at night, tossing and turning, trying to figure out how they can fuck your life over. Okay? This is the kind of shit that people do for fun. You know what I mean? So I'm just letting you know, this is not an unusual situation. You know, when you see a lot of homeless people out in the street, you ever wonder how they got there? You know what I mean? They probably come from scapegoated families, you know. So it's important. You know what I mean? It's important information. And I personally think that they should talk about this more in the workplace. You know, the domestic stalking. I know they have the domestic stalking paperwork and the human resources thing, but do people really understand what they're talking about? Just like they don't understand what they're talking about with the sexual harassment. And I mentioned this before, okay? But this is just one of the issues, just one of the many issues, where it shows me that people get hired for jobs because, you know, they might be a buddy, it might be hired for political reasons, but not because they really have an understanding of what they're doing. You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that I've never made mistakes at work. Okay, I make mistakes at work. Everyone does, okay? And people think, oh, she's a genius. She was never making a mistake. Yeah, everyone makes mistakes, okay? Especially in a learning process, okay? But the mistakes that these people made are downright scandalous. Like, you know, and I'm sorry, I'm going on and on about it, but you got to understand what this does to a person. You know what I mean? And if you can't, look up post-traumatic stress disorder. Look up things like flashbacks. Look up things like trauma. You know what I mean? Then you'll understand what I deal with every day. And no, I'm not going to get any psychiatric help, because you can't trust them either. You know what I mean? And I don't have any faith. Obviously, if people can't follow the law and they're supposed to be lawyers, or, you know, you see people in the police force who, you know these people, and they either turn a blind eye or they don't do anything or whatever. You know, I don't trust so-called professionals anymore. You know what I mean? I've lost my faith in people, but what was demonstrated to me is that people are dumb, they're corrupt, and I need to take cover. I need to take cover, and I need to find people who are responsible to work for, who understand that I'm a protected class, which means protected classes mean that we're more likely to deal with discrimination issues in the workplace. We are more likely to be treated unfairly in the workplace, you know. And I have so many reasons why people could hate me, right? I'm black, I'm a woman, I'm over the age of 40, and I'm not married. Like, people really needed to know that shit. So immature for people to throw that shit out there. It's no one's business. Or I'm divorced and my ex-husband was with it. Whatever the case is, no one needs to know that. You know what I mean? But this is the unprofessionalism of these so-called people that go around telling this sort of information. I'm so disgusted. You know, I'm disgusted by people. Yeah. Maria's disgusted by people. Maria's a hermit, basically. But I do want a friend. I do. It's not. I do want a friend, but I have to trust that person. I have to, you know. And actually, I had a conversation about that today. It's like, yeah, you know, I miss having female friends. You know, I like being around women. I'm a woman. I love women things. I like talking about women things. I love everything there is to be about being a woman. Everything. Okay, it's awesome. Okay, some people are like, well, I don't think being on your period's great. Okay, yeah, that does suck. Okay, that does. Okay. But I will say that I don't know about some of you women, but some women, like, they get a little bit of water bloating, like in their legs and their hands and stuff like that. But after it's all over with, they're back to normal. So I guess it does release a lot of excess water, so I can't really complain about it. Okay, yeah, I can't complain about it, but you know what I mean. Other than that, women being a woman is awesome. It's great. I love being a woman, but I do want female friends. I do. But I have to have standards. And I have boundaries. You know what I mean? I will not let somebody walk all over me. I will not let people impose their views or lifestyles or bullshit on me. I want a strong woman to be my friend. You know what I mean? So maybe my wish will be granted. Maybe it won't. But until then, you know, there's plenty of other manly PL books that I can check out and take up my time. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Take care. Bye-bye.